Hi guys, and welcome to another State of the Collection video. This is another video that I did because some of you asked about it. I did one, I believe, a year ago, so it's about time to do a new one. Some watches have gone, some new ones have come in. So let's start. We'll start off with G-Shocks. Currently, I'm still having my DW5000 SL in the collection. It's one of the first watches I got when I got into this. And I've replaced the bezel, and I did a video on it for our gold model one because I believe it looks even better than the one that was originally on it with the white lettering. And I really love this watch. It's been with me for many years, and it's gonna stay in my collection forever. It's very simple but very robust thanks to the screwback case, and it's one of my favorite G-Shocks and watches in general. Next one, we have the GW6900, which is, in my opinion, one of the best value G-Shocks because it costed just slightly more than the basic DW5600, but you get solar, you get atomic, you get a world time. It's a pretty awesome watch. It's simply a set it and forget it watch, and it has this iconic look with the three circles, the 6900. Very cool watch, and another one that's not gonna be leaving my collection. Now that's it when it comes to G-Shocks, because I sold my my Frogman, and I'm kind of sad I did that because I really loved that watch. Moving on with Casio, we also have this, which I got recently, and it's one of the geekiest watches I have seen. I always wanted this. It's a solar Casio, but it doesn't have a battery, just a small capacitor, so it has about 7 to maximum of 14 days of power reserve. So in a way, it's almost like an automatic watch. You have to expose it to light or wear it, or otherwise it will die within 2 weeks. I love the look of this, and I love that they're proud of this solar cell, because this is a remake of the watch from the 80s when being solar was cool and you wanted to show it to everyone. Unlike today when people try to hide the solar cell as much as possible. So that's it when it comes to Casio. Moving on, we have my Seikos, and as you can see, this is like in 2 boxes. These are my regular wear watches, these are my special occasion watches. So coming from Seiko, we have the SNK 809, or I believe this was the 805, the green dialed. But I replaced the dial, I replaced the hands, and I upgraded to sapphire because I pretty much mashed that crystal that was originally on it. It was like scratched up and almost impossible to read. And you can see on the case that this watch has also been with me for a very long time. And it was one of the most worn watches next to my DW5000 SL. I still love this watch, but sadly I don't wear it as much as I used to. The one that I wear mostly when it comes to Seiko is this, the SNX 111. I love this watch, I love the look, the way the hands and markers are simple, but they have like black lines drawn onto it, so no matter what the conditions are, you can always see them and you can always read the time. They never disappear or blend with the dial. This is a pretty classic Seiko 5. The only thing that's not as found on usual Seiko 5s is that the crown is not here, but it's rather at 3 o'clock. I love it. It does come with this flimsy bracelet, but over time I kind of learned to love it, and it's very comfortable despite being very cheaply made. One of the best watches I have in my collection. Okay, moving on, we have some high-end Seikos. I have my Kinf Seiko 45. This is one of the most beautiful watches in my collection. It's an epic watch representing the grammar of design perfectly. Look at those lines, the curves. It's just an epic watch. It's very thin, I believe 8 point something millimeters, because it's a manual wind and it's a true high beat, beating at 36,000 bph. So if you want to have a Seiko collection, I believe you should have at least one high beat model because they're known for it. And this is the 4502 movement, which was one of the very rare production models that actually went to the observatory chronometer competitions to get a certification. And you have this exact movement with the observatory chronometer standard, but those were made in solid gold. and they cost so much because there's very few left. It's an amazing watch. I always wear it in special occasions because I'm wary of putting scratches on this beautifully polished case. When I got this watch, it was in near mint condition. It has never been polished. All the lines are very crisp and clear. So I really don't want to wear it as a daily because I know I will destroy the case. So I wear it in special occasions, Sundays for coffee, walks, and such things, because I know it's gonna be kept in pristine condition. Now, as you can see, I do have a clear case back because the one with the gold medallion was in such a good condition. I didn't want to wear the gold medallion out, and I wanted to take a look at this beautiful movement. So I got this on Yahoo Auctions Japan. A guy makes them by hand, and they pop out once every month or once every few weeks. They do cost quite a lot. I believe I paid this one about $150 to almost $200. But in my opinion, it's worth it, and it's probably the only mod to do on these vintage King and Grand Seikos. A beautiful watch through and through. Moving on, we have the Seiko Laurel. Now this, next to my Reverso, is the most beautiful watch in my collection. Everything from the design, the case shape, the hands, the dial, it's just epic. I will put a link to the review of this thing where you can see the macro shots, and under macro this is pretty much perfect. This is also probably one of the very few precious metal Seikos, because the case is actually sterling silver and this bezel is solid gold, solid 18 karat gold. So it's a very interesting mix, something that Seiko doesn't do very often. It's also a manual wind, and this was actually the movement that Seiko recreated. It was one of the King and Grand Seiko movements of the 70s when they decided in the 90s to go back to high-end mechanical watches. They resurrected that movement to create this movement, and this eventually led to Grand Seiko, to the revival of the Grand Seiko brand. So this was a bit of a learning platform for them before they launched Grand Seiko. So it has a very interesting story. It's been in sale for about 2 or 3 years before it was discontinued, so these are also pretty rare, and they do fetch quite high prices today. I got mine from Japan. It was in pretty much perfect condition, and it still is. All this that you can see is the tarnishing of the silver, and I did a video on how to clean that. I have special cloths where you just wipe it off, and it's brilliant silver, and it has such a nice color when you clean it. It's much warmer than steel. It's hard to explain, but in person it just looks beautiful. Okay, moving on, we have my Soviet watches, and I have my Amphibia. You've seen it on my channel many times. I wear this also as a daily next to my Seiko 5. It's a very cool watch. I love the look. It has an in-house movement. It's pretty robust and pretty reliable. The only problems I had was that corrosion on the crown tube and on the bracelet, because the steel of these Russian watches is pretty cheap. I do love this dial. It's not blue, it's not green, it's something in between, and when you put it on the sun, it just plays with the light beautifully. An amazing watch. I thought about modding it. The only mod that I did is I placed the bezel of the regular Amphibia because I didn't like that one with the extra large numerals. I also brushed the case, and I did a video on how to do that, because I didn't like the blinginess of the all polished one. It looked like it's chrome plated, although it's not. Okay, moving on, we have my Sturmanskie 31652 Tour. I believe it's that reference number. If I messed it up, I'll put it in somewhere around here. This is the military version, so this is not the civilian one. The difference between the civilian and the military is that the military had to add hacking. So once you pull the crown out, the small seconds hand is gonna stop. Also, the military version is not chrome-plated brass like the civilian one, but it's all stainless steel. I got this from Russia via a friend who worked there, and he traveled often there and to my country, and he got it from an ex-pilot. So it's a pretty cool watch because these were only issued to pilots and cosmonauts. You couldn't buy this one in public. Now you can, but you have to be wary and you have to know what you're doing, because there's a lot of Franken models out there where people take a civilian version and some parts of the military one, creating and then claiming it's the full military version, because these do fetch higher prices than the civilian ones. Although in essence they're pretty much, I mean, the same watch with a few details. If you're going to wear it every day, it doesn't matter which one you get. If you want to collect it for some future value or something, military is the way to go. I also love the look of this watch. It has a very colorful dial, and if you can see, it has the perfect color coding where the chronograph hands are in one color and everything showing the main time is in another, making for a very easy watch to read. Very cool. The final Soviet piece that I have is the one I got when we had that fair and there were some guys selling antique watches. And this is a Raketa. I love this watch because Raketa, although not as popular today, they had some wild designs back in the day. And this one is one of those. Look at it. It has a lugless design. It has a combination of polished surfaces with these grooves on the bezel, very highly protruding acrylic crystal, and it also comes with an in-house manual wind movement. I love the hands. I love the chapter ring that's contrasting the blue dial. It just looks so 70s. It's an awesome watch. Okay, moving on, we have my Doxa. Now this watch will never leave my collection simply because of the reason it was bought to me by my then girlfriend and now wife. So it has a special meaning, and it was actually bought on the same fair from the same guys that I bought the Raketa a couple of years later. It's a manual wind 35 or 36 millimeter watch, a perfect representation of those dress watches of the 60s. The only flaw this watch has is that the case is actually chrome plated brass. So if you wear it a lot, you're going to wear the chrome out, showing the brass underneath. Now when I got this watch, I was so much in love with the design and the simplicity that I started wearing it every day to my work, which did result in some damage to the crystal. I mean, just slight scuffs and scratches, and also to the case. When I bought it, it was in mint condition. It's like it's been sitting for like 50 years, never been worn. When I realized what I'm doing to my watches when I wear them every day because of the nature of my work, I decided to switch it to the special occasions box, so now I wear it when we go out and things like that. A very beautiful watch and one of my favorite in the collection, because it has to be one of my favorite because my wife got it for me. Okay, so this pretty much covers this whole box, and now we're left with only the Rolex and the Reverso. So let's do the Rolex first. This is the 36 millimeter Explorer. I also wear it in special occasions. I wore it like last night. That's why it's still running. It's a beautiful, beautiful watch. And this is the version with the solid end links but hollow links. Now, when I knew when I was buying it that it has hollow links and it has a pretty simple stamped clasp, I expected the bracelet to be on par with quality with the Seiko 5, because construction-wise, that's pretty much it. However, this feels so much more solid, so much better made, that it really shows the quality. Even when using subpar construction, Rolex can make it feel and look very, very high quality. I love this watch. It's beautiful, although be wary. If you're in the market for these, they do not wear like a 36 millimeter watch. They wear like a 34, because when I put my Seiko 5 next to it, I was surprised at how small this actually looked. Look how much beefier the Seiko 5 does look. But this one is a bit longer, so when you put it on your wrist, it actually looks better than this. A beautiful watch, very simple, very easy to read, and one of the true classics. Very beautiful. And finally we come to my Reverso. If you follow my channel, you know about this watch, because this, I always say, is next to my Laurel one of the most beautiful watches I have ever seen, period. Like this, everything, every line on this watch, every piece of the dial, the hands, everything on it is simply perfect. I really do not know how I would improve on this. Usually when I have a watch, I always have something that kind of bugs me or I want to change, but on this, absolutely nothing. Now this is the first version of the Reverso Duo Face from the 90s, and it's been in production, I believe, until late 2000s or something like that. And this is my favorite version. The one that followed after it added that ugly big button here, and they also kind of changed the second subdial to a round one, which is something I didn't like. I love the duality of this because over here on this side everything is rectangular. So you have the rectangular subdial, you have the minute track, you have the shape, everything, and then when you switch it here, over here everything is round, so, and everything is dark, well there it's light. I love that duality, and they kind of spoiled it with the model that followed this because they added a round subdial here. Now there is the latest version where even this small corrector has disappeared and it's now up here, making for an even cleaner case, but that one has lost the Reverso inscription here, which is something I don't like, and also the Jaeger-LeCoultre branding here is not raised like on this one, like on a plaque, but it's actually just printed on the guilloche pattern, which is something, again, it's okay, but I prefer the way they did it on this model. So this one is no longer in production, and I'm glad I got it, because to me this is the perfect Reverso Duo Face. Everything after it, I have few details that always bug me. With this, nothing bugs me. It's just that beautiful. And I also wear it, like I said, in special occasions. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the collection, except for one last piece, and that's the Zelos Hammerhead. I usually, when I get these micro-brand watches, I use them for the review, and then I sell them. Or I have to send them to the next reviewer, or sometimes back to the producer. The Hammerhead, I got it, I recorded the review, I put it up for sale, and then I did the very, very stupid mistake of putting it on my wrist as I was about to review the new Swordfish in titanium. Once I put this on my wrist for that second time, something just happened in me and I fell in love with the watch and I decided to keep it. I really have no resent on this watch. I have no flaws. It's so well made. Everything fits together. The fit and finish, the way everything feels when you operate it, from the bracelet, the sliding mechanism, the bezel, the crown, the way the end links are joined with the case. This watch simply, I don't know, punches so much above its price point that it's beyond belief. Now, that's why I kept it, but mostly because I love the vibrant and very easy to read contrasting dial. So as you can see, in my collection you can find everything from cheap Casio watches all the way to high-end pieces. And that brings me to the conclusion. If you're gonna collect watches, some of these are here because of the nostalgia they bring. Some are because of their unique stories or history, but all of them have, some are because of the brand equity and everything, but all of them have one thing in common, and that is that I love the way they look. And that is the main reason why you should get a watch. Forget the specs, forget the brand, forget the history of a brand. If you do not like the look of the watch you're getting, all those other things that you're buying it for are going to wear off over time, and you're going to end up with a watch you do not like. So regardless of some watch being a hype at the moment and everyone just has to have it, if you don't like the look of that watch, if you don't feel like, I don't know, jiggles when you, or butterflies in your stomach when you take a look at the picture of it, do not buy it. I did those mistakes in the past. I would buy a watch simply because all the specs were so cool for the price, and then after a month or two, I'm just like, meh. And then I end up selling it, usually losing money, sometimes making money, but regardless, you end up buying a watch that you're not going to wear. So always buy a watch you like the look of, and everything else is just going to be a bonus. Anyways, that's it when it comes to this state of the collection and a small advice. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.